Great. Thank you, Dr. Kreider. I'd like to call the meeting to order then, the October 20th, 2020 meeting of the Carlynton School District Board of Directors. First order of business is the pledge. Dr. Kreider, do you have someone on your team that can lead this in the pledge?
Yes, I believe that is Mr. McDade is going to lead us in the pledge tonight.
All right, I'm ready to go here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. McDade. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Yes, good afternoon, good evening. Director Apple.
Here.
Director Frank.
Present.
Director Honchar.
Here.
Director Russo.
He is not able to be here this evening.
Director O'Brien.
She is not able to be here this evening.
Director Mendoza.
I'm here.
Director Zaletsky.
Here.
Director Simsik.
Here.
Director Shriver.
Here. There's a portion of our meeting at the very beginning where we invite members of the public to comment or ask questions about items that are on our agenda for the evening. So, Mr. Jones, is there anybody in the public forum that looks to ask a question about an agenda item for tonight?
Well, seeing as though there's only one right now, I'll just talk to Susie. Susie, if you would like to say something to the board, you can always just raise your hand. That's in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, and we will acknowledge you, and you'll be able to talk. If not, then we have no one at this time.
Okay, not hearing or seeing any hands, I'll move on. There is a time at the end to ask any other questions in open forum. Moving on, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the voting and finance meeting of October 13th, 2020, and the minutes of the voting meeting on September 15th, 2020. Do I have a motion for those two items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Report that we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed personnel matters, negotiations, and real estate. And now, Dr. Kreider, to you for the administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. Shriver. Just a quick superintendent report. Just as a reminder, last week, the school board approved the recommendation for the second phase of reentry for students into the classroom. That's bringing back K through 3 students 4 days a week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It's also bringing back about 20 students who are enrolled in our life skills and autistic support programs, bringing them back 3 or 4 days a week also on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Also bringing back students in grades 4 through 12, 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This week we followed up with a brief survey out to parents to collect information regarding their plans to send their child back to school, asking for whether they plan to use district transportation and some other information as well. Additionally, we sent a mailing out, a hard copy mailing to all of our families as well, giving some brief description to the next phase, and also provided some information at the elementary level, had a flyer put in there. High school will be sending out some information via mail next week also to provide information to their students to help give parents and family members a strong understanding of what the school day will look like when we return on October the 29th and also on November 5th. Families, please take a look for those mailings that are coming out. And if you have not had the opportunity to fill out the survey, please do so. If you have not got an email, also a reminder to send an email to Michelle Herman at carlynton.k12.pa.us. She will make sure that you get on our email distribution list. And we also have a copy of the survey posted to our website as well for parents to access and visit. Once again, we appreciate all the feedback that we've received up to this point. We're really looking forward, a lot of our people are looking forward to getting the kids back into the classroom. It's an exciting time of the school year. We're looking forward to it. and I think we're very well prepared. I believe Mr. Juswick and Mr. McDade invited a visitor with us from Train. That's Mr. Bill Gordon. Either Chris or Dennis, I'll have you introduce Mr. Gordon here, please.
I'll go ahead and introduce Bill Gordon to everyone. On the agenda today, you're going to see a project with Train concerning our chiller system and some unit ventilators and an upgrade to the cooling tower. As everyone knows, 2 years ago, we did our project at the high school, replaced several different items with our HVAC system there, but the chiller was not one of them, and neither were the unit vents. And we're thinking it's probably a good opportunity now to look back at that, to replace the chillers. And we have some reached out to Train for pricing and stuff. We received some good pricing back, and we think it's a real good positive opportunity to take advantage of what they've presented us. So as with our chillers, I'll just give you a little update on our chillers. They're 25 years old. They're probably about 5 years over their life expectancy. We have currently 2 chillers in the building with 3 stages on each chiller. And currently one of those stages on one of the chillers is down and inoperable and is really not worth repairing because of the cost of the repairs. So they are starting to fail. That equipment is starting to fail, and like I said, it's probably time we look at replacing them. And the unit vents that we're talking about are the rooftop unit vents in the classroom, the ceiling units, and there's 12 of those in our building, and they're reaching the end of their life. They were put in 1995 also. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Gordon here. He can explain their proposal to us, and you guys can hear what they have to say. You there, Bill?
How about now?
Yep, you got it.
You hear me? Okay. I think I was muted there.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and thank you, everybody, for inviting us to join you this evening. A couple other resources from Train On in case there's questions that I can't answer. So please feel free to ask any questions. First of all, we did, as Dennis indicated, a pretty significant project roughly 2.5 years ago, mainly at the high school, middle school, where we did lighting, new building automation system, rooftop HVAC units, boilers, building envelope, water conservation, miscellaneous duct work and insulation. The work was completed. It has performed well. Those projects all are being funded through the energy savings and operational savings. And through the first 2 years, we have exceeded our goal, and the district is on the plus side of that. At the time, the chillers and the unit ventilators were not in the project because of budget restraints. So here we are 2.5 years later, recommending that, as Dennis had suggested, these pieces of equipment are 25 years old, going on 26. Average life expectancy is 20 years. So the technology is older. In addition to the being prone to breakdown and failure, the equipment also is not efficient. So there's some energy gains to be had by putting in new technology. The failures are basically throwing good money after bad. Like Dennis had mentioned, the chillers right now need work, and we're thinking this is a good time to have the work completed. The unit vents are problematic. They are also 25 years old. They're causing problems, maintenance issues, cost issues. There's noise and vibration in the ceilings, which is interrupting classrooms. So we think it's time to get those replaced as well. And these would be amendments to the existing contracts, so that's how they're drawn up on the proposals that you're looking at. Important features also for the chiller replacement is that the refrigerant that's currently in those machines is R22 refrigerant, which is no longer manufactured, no longer supported. So if you have repairs to be made, the refrigerant is very, very expensive. And also we mentioned there's roughly a 20% improvement with the new technology and new chillers. So there will be a payback, not only on the efficiency side, your energy bills, but also on your operating spend. So there will be associated payback with that. We've also, I don't necessarily need to go through the full details on the specifications unless you want that brought up, Dennis. But important things to remember are that this has a 5-year parts and labor warranty. So the unit ventilators and the train chillers, we back our products, and we'll place a 5-year full parts and labor warranty on the chillers and the unit ventilators, so that your operating spend virtually is zero for these pieces of equipment for the next 5 years. So that also offers a savings to the district. The third proposal was for a manufacturer's upgrade to the cooling tower. It's just a retrofit. It's relatively inexpensive. It's going to allow for more even distribution of the water in the cooling tower. Thus, it increases not only the performance of the cooling tower, but it also improves the chilled water system, gives you more capacity. So it too has it actually has a real quick payback. It's roughly 2.5 year payback for the cooling tower upgrades. I don't know if there's any particular questions that you have at this time, but just think of it as the old antiquated equipment becomes problematic. It gets to be expensive to maintain. And then every year you put off a purchase, just like with anything else that you buy, even on in your home. The following year it's going to be more expensive to do the project. So not only do you lose a year of operational savings, you lose a year of energy savings, but then you lose money on what the additional cost is. So that's basically like a life cycle analysis for the project.
And Mr. Gordon, it's Chris Jeswick. Just the one extra thing I wanted you to add in about this was with the early payment and some of the adjustments you made from those amendments, if we were to approve this project tonight and start getting the project, the savings we would see from that.
Well, the savings, right, the savings on the, well, we know the energy savings, operational savings, there'll be a nice payback there, but then we also, Train has a anticipation discount program. That means if you have cash available and you don't have to finance this, that you could save on putting, for example, 90% of the project as a down payment would roughly save the district an additional $15,000. So again, it's a lot of money that will help you fund other projects that you may have at this time. And on the efficiency side, you're talking about 2 large pieces of equipment, the cooling tower and the chillers, huge consumers of energy. And again, roughly a 20% reduction in utility spend with the
And Mr. Gordon, when we spoke to, I think we totaled this up, we're right around that $745,000. You said about 15,000 there. Were we around 720 or 725? I thought if we were to move forward with this project and those total savings.
It's around 725. That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we actually have the proposals on to review, but I don't know if, do we want to review these, or does everybody have a copy of those? It's just a detailed, it's a very detailed installation, as you can imagine. So we have everything in there. The chillers especially require a lot of work, a lot of coordination. And, we're very familiar with your site, so we have the right people in place to do the job right. And again, with all the backup on the warranties, it should be a comfortable move for the district.
And Mr. Gordon, just to throw in, you also mentioned at the one point how we're actually at a good time to purchase the chillers because of the way you found to bring the chillers into the building. It actually cost us less than what it cost us 2 years ago. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, if you look at, I don't know how many of you were on board 2.5 years ago, but we basically priced up the options as alternatives. So the district went through and reviewed which options they wanted to choose. If you look at the price for the chiller installation, you'll see that the price has actually gone down for the total package for the chillers. 2 reasons: the technology with the chillers that are available took place. There was a change in the type of model that we selected, and then also the installers who were very familiar with the location logistics were able to save some money on how they figured to get the equipment in. And as far as the timing is concerned, obviously, this upcoming fall winter season is the ideal time to be looking at replacing your chilled water systems because you don't want to attempt to do that in the spring. So we want to have the equipment up and running, by March, April next year. So the timing is good for that as well. As far as anything else, these replacement of this equipment, there will be some rebates that we will submit for you to get some money back from the utility companies for these upgrades. So that's a bonus above and beyond the other things we discussed. And I don't have that amount at this time. That depends on what they're offering at that particular time, but there will be something.
Thank you for all that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gordon. Any questions from any of our board members in regard to what's on the agenda this evening? Okay. Once again, Mr. Gordon, thank you very much for sharing that information with us this evening. Mr. Juswick, did you have anything to close with?
Not much. I think Mr. Gordon went over most of the facts. I was able to throw in some questions about the financial aspects of the project. I think Dennis has put his take on the whole situation, our need for it. And the only maybe one additional thing I can throw in is when we sat down and did our capital projects plan with Director Frank and Director Russo's, the top one on the list from Dennis was this chiller project. So we have the opportunity with some of the funds transfers we're doing that's on this finance agenda here, this board meeting, to do these projects and take care of them and hopefully not get a piece of equipment breakdown in the middle of the school year. I don't know the aspects of if we would have to shut down school if these pieces of equipment went down or not. Dennis could probably comment better on that, but I look at this situation as an opportunity.
Yes, well, the chillers, with our high school, the layout of our high school with no windows that open up in the springtime, and when the weather gets hot again, the chillers are a major factor in the learning environment in that building. And I just want to add on to Train's partnership with us 2 years ago when we did our energy project and selected them. One of the main components why we selected them was the warranty with the 5 years parts and labor. They're being close in town in the Pittsburgh area, and they have achieved everything they promised us. Their equipment operates very well, and anytime we have any problems at all, which is very rare, they're right on the spot taking care of it. So I have 100% confidence in their equipment and with their service. Their service team is second to none that I have ever dealt with. So I have complete confidence in their company. So that's why, we want to continue our partnership with them.
Good to know. Thanks, Dennis.
And I can vouch for what Dennis is saying, because in my previous position, in my last job, I also had train, and pretty much the same review Dennis gave for them at Carlynton, I can give that at my previous company.
Okay, Mr. Schreiber, if there's no other questions from the board, I'll turn it back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Kreider. Turning to our board for committee reports, Director Apple, will have anything, any updates on Parkway West?
I do. Thank you very much. We had a meeting at the beginning of October. It was actually our first in-person meeting for quite some time. And it was nice to be in person with other people, and I'm looking forward to our eventual return. Anyway, so there were some interesting statistics regarding the experience this year at Parkway. As we talked about last meeting, students are there for 2 days a week from each of the sending districts. 14.6% of the students are online only, and the rest of them are there 2 days a week in 2 different groups. So attendance is not great. It's at 76%, and Dr. Copeland and his staff are looking at ways to address that. And I think maybe one big way is discussions we're starting to look towards having 4 days a week class there in person. So I mean, I think that, you know, as far as education goes, it's always a challenge to try to educate kids, you know, in a virtual environment. But I don't think I'd be wrong in saying it's even more difficult to educate students who are in a career or technical program solely online. So hopefully, if things don't change in regards to the numbers of the virus and all that sort of stuff, it'll be pretty soon that they'll be rolling that out. Anyway, they're also working on a recruitment plan for next year, and there will be a virtual component to that. So I don't think that it's going to be feasible at this time to have big groups of students going through the school and looking at, you know, what's available. So they're working very hard to have a virtual component, and they're also gathering input from homeschool districts to see what students are looking for and what the districts need. And then as far as attendance, I mean, the numbers this year, there's 961 students at Parkway, which is up 41 even from last year. And the 4 biggest programs are cosmetology, vet tech, welding, and electrical. So things, you know, it continues to grow out there, and hopefully we'll be able to get the kids out there on a more consistent basis and maintain a strong virtual component as well. But hey, I think that any of our administrators will tell you that, you know, transitioning from a virtual environment to an in-person or partially in-person at least environment has a whole set of challenges. So we'll see how it goes. But I have a lot of confidence in the folks out there, and I think that our students will be well served. And that's all I have, if anyone has any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, Director Hanshar, any updates on Pathfinder?
Yes, thank you, Jim. We will have a meeting tomorrow at Pathfinder. So the last meeting that we've had was in October. We've increased to 83 students. 80% of our kids are coming to school every day. As of when I checked with our principal, Nick Fratto, last week, we've had no COVID absences, either from students or teachers. That's the end of my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions there? Not moving on to Shasta. Director Zalewski, any updates on Shasta?
So as I have said previously, we officially are not meeting for any events until the student forum in 2021, which I believe is usually in May. Although I know Dr. Kreider, I believe, did you have a superintendent's meeting?
Yes, we did. We had a superintendent's meeting for Shasta last week. It was via Zoom, but we do have our meeting scheduled for the rest of the school year. So yeah, Shasta's still meeting though.
Okay. So Kelly, I'll check with you each time, but it sounds like you probably won't have much of an update for a while.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. Thanks.
Thanks.
Director Simzik, you're doing dual duty legislative, PSBA, and foundation. Any updates for us there?
I do, yeah. So I'll start with legislative. So I did participate in Advocacy Day on October 8th. It was a virtual meeting, and actually the first one I've been able to go to, and I found it to be, well worth my time. And I was really happy to participate. I got to spend about 30 minutes on a call with Representative Anita Kulik. We were the only school within her district to be represented on that call. So I was, again, happy to be there. We also had Dr. Ken Lockett from South Fayette. He's the superintendent at South Fayette, and another board member from South Fayette, as well as Dr. Robert Shearer from the AIU. So we all spent about 30 minutes with Dr. Kulik. I was able to report to her how we've been transitioning into our learning for this year. And at the time we were fully remote. I was able to tell her that we were considering other options. So it was nice to give her a little update, what seems to be working, what's not working. I was very proud to just talk about our staff and our administration and superintendent and the leadership and how everybody has pulled together to really do such a great job for our district. So she was interested to hear what we were doing. It was nice to hear too how other districts are approaching things and the challenges that they're going through and what they have to say about things. For instance, Dr. Lockett from South Fayette was talking about, they were at that time in the hybrid model, going 2 days a week. And he said it was pretty challenging for their staff, for the teaching staff. And he felt like it's not sustainable to have to do a couple different methods of instruction for a long period of time. But he also commented that the kids were following the mask mandate. They didn't seem to have any problem with the students at all. So that was a nice thing to hear. Dr. Shearer from the AIU spent some time talking about funding for early intervention programs, because right now within the budget, the early intervention is only funded through the end of December. And once that goes away, he's fearful that they will not have the programs, excuse me, for kids ages 3 to 5 with disabilities and delays. So those programs are probably going to go away, along with the staff who support those programs. Those people are going to lose their jobs. I was on a call with Representative Kulik for a time, and then also with Senator Wayne Fontana a little bit later in the day. That topic came up again. Senator Fontana really didn't offer much hope about that. He just kind of said if the funding wasn't there and the support didn't seem to be there. So that's regretful to hear that. Some of the topics that came up, excuse me, were changes to charter school funding, which that's a long-term thing. That's something that we talk about pretty often. Representative Kulik was familiar with that issue, and she understands our district's position on it, which is her position as well. Senator Fontana didn't really, again, offer much hope. His comment was the Democrats and Republicans just can't get together on this issue. So I don't know what to say about that. Also, another topic that came up was limited liability protections. The PSBA is expressing concern on behalf of the districts about the potential for frivolous lawsuits for, practices that we put in place to try to work through this COVID situation. So, they're interested in having, not for things that are, gross misconduct or anything like that, but they want some protections for the decisions that the districts are making in good faith. So, and Senator Fontana did say that this is a topic that is being discussed, and he feels like there's probably going to be movement on that. Dr. Kreider was hopeful that we would get to talk about voucher programs, but we didn't. I'm sorry, we didn't get to that. There was some discussion about the state budget. They're projected to be $4 to $5 billion deficit, which was a little upsetting. Senator Fontana did say there is some money remaining from the CARES Act, but no talk of it going to education. He said the state used to fund 50% of education, now it's at 30%. So we all know, we've all been feeling that for some time. So I think that was the bulk of what we discussed. Again, I thought it was really well worth my time. I was happy. Actually, the virtual format seemed to work out because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to attend. So that's it for legislative. Would you like me to go on to the Education Foundation?
Sure, if you have something for us, absolutely.
Just a little bit. We met on October 14th. We continue to just tweak those websites and continue looking at, updating them. We spent a lot of time talking about the Alumni website. If you're not familiar with it, it's alumni.carlynton.org. It's open to people who would like to join that are outside of the student body. If you're an administrator, a board member, so you have some affiliation with the school district, you can have a profile on the Alumni website. And we're really interested in hearing from people on what they think would add value to that site. So, I would ask people, if you have a chance, take a look at that and see, what you think makes sense. What of course, people want to talk about reunions and things like that, but what's going to add value to that site for you? So if you have any feedback for the Education Foundation, we would appreciate it.
Great. All right. Thank you. And thank
You're
you for your
welcome.
participation in the legislative work. That's important.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any questions for Chris? If not, we'll move on. We have under section 4, an item, entertain a motion to approve a donation of 4 30-bay UV charging units and 3 cases of face shields at a value of $10,000. The donation was received from Carnegie Collier and Crafton Ingram Rotaries. Do I have a motion for that item?
So moved.
Second.
And second, any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 2, finance, I'll entertain a motion for 11 items, numbers 1 through 11. Number 1, to approve the treasurer's report for the month of August 2020 as submitted. Number 2, to approve the treasurer's report for the month of September 2020 as submitted. Number 3, to approve the bills for the month of June 2020 in the amount of $513,740.79. Number 4, to approve Dollar Bank as the official depository of Carlynton School District for funds received for the remainder of the fiscal year 2020-2021 in accordance with section 621 of the PA School Code per the agreement presented by Dollar Bank. Number 6, Huntington Bank, to approve the participation with Huntington Bank in a fully FDIC insured money market account for depository and investment purposes. Number 7, the transfer of $1.4 million from the Carlynton School District General Fund to the Carlynton School District Capital Project Fund. Number 8, to assign $200,000 from the Carlynton School District General Fund to the Technology Infrastructure Equipment and Hardware Needs, a fund for technology and hardware needs for IT. Number 9, to approve the contract between the district and Action Driven Education for staff professional development services in the amount of $802. Number 10, to approve the athletic fund report for the month of September 2020 with an ending balance of $9,137.31. And number 11, to approve the activities fund report for the month of September 2020 with an ending balance of $91,306.56. I'll entertain a motion for those 11 items. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Before you move, I may have missed it. I don't think you read the 5.4, which is the September bills.
Mr. Andrews, thank you very much. I apologize if I did. So if missed, then I'll add 5.4 to approve the bills for the month of September 2020 in the amount of $504,918.92. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Entertain a motion to approve those 11 items, hopefully that I read correctly.
I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 6, real estate and capital projects, there's 3 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve all 3. Number 1, the agreement with Train in the amount not to exceed $8,960 as part of the Act 39 energy savings legislation as presented in amendment number 2 to the Train Pact agreement. Number 2, motion to approve the agreement with Train in the amount not to exceed $456,725 as part of the Act 39 energy saving legislation as presented in the amendment number 3 to the Train Pact agreement. And 6.3, approve the agreement with Train in the amount not to exceed $279,940 as part of the Act 39 energy saving legislation as presented in the amendment number 4 to the Train Pact agreement. Do I have a motion for those 3 items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Uh,
One quick. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if Dennis and Chris are, well, I know Chris, if Dennis is still on, I mean, you know, hey, look, that's $750,000. I'd just like to hear a little bit more about, you know, we've talked about it for years, but you know, it's hard to spend that kind of money just by saying, yeah. So maybe Dennis, if you had a minute, you could
I'm here.
refresh
I'm here.
our memories a little bit on this.
All right, well, the main component of this is the chillers at the high school. And when we did the project 2 years ago, you know, that we wanted to include them, and there wasn't the significant payback on the chillers at that time to move ahead with keeping them in the project. So we eliminated the chillers and the univents out of that project. And so as we kept researching and looking into, you know, upgrading and our facilities and maintaining them, it's getting to the point with this equipment to update it and looking that we can tie it in with our current Train Pact agreement with the Act 39 energy project. That's why we've presented this for you guys to take another look at this, to try and approve the project to go forward so we can get the new chillers in the building at what we feel is an excellent cost to have that done. So like I said, those chillers are 25 years old in the building. There's already one stage that has failed, and to repair that stage is a significant investment, and it could cause 2 more of the stages to have to be worked on too, because those 3 stages go up into a big barrel on top of that chiller. And that's where the issue is, up in that barrel for the 1 stage. So, you know, before we lose it and end up scrambling to repair it and dumping, you know, a lot of money into the repairs of it, I think it's a good opportunity if we have the funds to replace it.
Thanks, Dennis. So if I'm hearing it right, it's not just the chillers, but it's also the vents in the rooms too?
Yes, the univents.
So would it be fair to say that this is going to make our ventilation system more efficient and work better.
Yes,
Yep.
the 12 univents that are on this proposal are ceiling mounted univents. They're approximately about 4 by 8 units that sit up in the ceilings. They're actually almost like an air handler that sits up in these classrooms. And the age of them, the age of those units are, once again, 25 years. A lot of them don't function properly, bring the correct amount of air in.
Yeah.
It brings outside air in, but it's also heating and cooling those spaces too. So it will make a significant improvement in the classroom environment.
Well,
Some of these, yes, go ahead, Joe.
no, I was going to say, given this, the attention that everyone's paying these days to moving air around and keeping things, fresh.
Right.
Maybe that sounds a little bit more like an even more urgent reason to.
No, yes, it will greatly surpass what's currently in those classrooms, and even with the controls of it. I mean, we have new controls, telling the equipment to operate, but the technology on this equipment's old, outdated, and it will significantly increase the airflow in these rooms, which is a good point, Joe.
Thank you. That's all I had. I feel better about it now. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions on it at all from anybody?
I don't have a question. I think we know we have to do this. Doing it now, we have control over the cost and the timing when we do it. So that's good. And then the other thing, we have the funds to pay for it now. And by paying for it now with funds that we have, I think, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but our return, if we don't spend, the return that we get on the cash investments is lower than the discount that we get by paying cash up front for this.
That's absolutely correct. I believe the percentage back is 5%. We get about 5% over the course of the year. So you divide that over the months. I'll give you an example. I invested $1 million in a treasury bond for a month. I'm getting 0.05%. So my return on that $1 million for the 1 month is somewhere between $35 and $59. So we're getting nothing back on any investments right now.
So
it's almost, I'll put it to the extreme of this. If once fees would kick in with PNC Bank, it may cost more to send the wire than it would be on the interest I would earn in a month or two on $1 million.
Yeah, so it's a very good use of funds that we have right now.
I agree completely.
Any other questions of the motion on the table? If not, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Under section 7 personnel, there's 8 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve number 1, the additions to the 2020-2021 activity supplemental list with new and returning sponsors as submitted. The stipend for supplemental position holders is contingent upon completion of the full school year. It will be prorated in the event of a shortened or canceled school year due to unforeseen circumstances. Number 2, to approve and award a temporary professional employee contract to Melanie Lewis and appoint her to the position of life skills teacher, retroactive to October 20th, 2020, and consistent with the terms of the CFT collective bargaining unit agreement. Number 3, to approve Kathy Griffin for the temporary position of cafeteria cook, retroactive to September 28th, 2020, and consistent with the terms of the SCA collective bargaining unit agreement. Number 7.4, accept the letter of resignation from cafeteria worker Michaela Richards, effective September 17th, 2020, and consistent with the terms of the SCA collective bargaining unit agreement. Number 5, to approve the addition to the 2020-2021 custodian substitute list as submitted. Number 6, approve the leave of absences of employees CFT 2021-04 and SCA 2021-05. Number 7, to to ratify the advertising for a temporary certified school nurse as submitted. And number 8, to ratify the ratify the advertising for a human resources coordinator as submitted. Do I have a motion for those 8 items under personnel?
So moved.
Moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Any discussion?
Mr. Shriver, just to clarify back on 7-2, not sure if you said October or August, but the retroactive date is back to August 20th, 2020 for Melanie Lewis.
Thank you. So if I misspoke, August 20th, 2020. Thank you.
And John, on the temporary certified school nurse, this would just be until the end of the school year, right?
That is correct.
Any other questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Under section 8, old business, does any director have any old business they'd like to bring up? New business. Any director have any new business they would like to bring up?
I do. Today I received an email from Director Russos, and I will read it. He writes, effective October 20th, 2020, I resigned my position as director on this Carlynton School District Board of Directors. Director Russos has been with us off and on for a long time, and he's really given a lot of expertise and blood, sweat, and tears to making this a great school district. And I've honestly enjoyed serving with him. That said, I guess we need to have a motion to accept this. Is that as president? I guess you can call for that motion, Director Schreiber.
Happy to. And I'll echo your comments, Joe. David has served the district and the community for a long time and has been of great service to us all. So we all owe him a debt of gratitude for his time and his great value he's added. I agree. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to accept David's resignation.
So moved.
We have a second.
With regrets, I so move.
Thank you, George. Any discussion or any further questions? If not, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay. That's me, Marisa.
Understandable, Marisa.
I just wanted to add to that the ferocity that I defend the district fiscally, all the school budget finance knowledge I've gained over the years, a lot came from him. He was president when I first came on the board, and he's been very generous with his time, I think, across all board members, new members, old members, very respected in the community. And I think we benefited a lot from the generosity of his time coming back on the board when we needed him a lot. So I say no, I'm not accepting his resignation. If he goes, then like all of us should go.
Understood.
I second that.
Don't tempt me.
So I'll say motion. I'll say motion passes, but I will invite everyone to again express their thanks because David's service was tremendous.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I guess the question I have, I know we've been through this a few times, and Director Russos himself, as at his latest term, originally came on as a replacement. So I'm wondering if our solicitor could give us a little rundown on what happens next.
Thank you, Mr. Apple. I'd be happy to do that. Mr. Rusos's resignation is effective today. Therefore, under the school code, the board has 30 days in which to fill that vacancy. To be eligible to serve as a school director and therefore eligible to be appointed, you only need to meet three qualities, three characteristics. Number one, you have to be at least 18 years of age. Number two, you have to be a citizen or a resident, of the Carlynton School District for at least 1 year. And you must be an electorate of the district, meaning that you would be registered to vote. Beyond that, you only need to be of good moral character. So it's pretty wide open in terms of who can be appointed. The board has 30 days in which to make that appointment. That appointment must be done in public and voted upon in public, and any interviews or processes involved in filling the vacancy are public under the Sunshine Act. If the board does not fill the vacancy within the 30-day period, then citizens would have the right to petition the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County to fill the vacancy based upon whatever process that judge may or may not adopt at that point. As Mr. Apple said, we have gone through this on occasion. The appointment, by the way, would be effective as of the date of the appointment and the taking of the oath of office, and would run until the next municipal election in which school directors are elected. That would be November of 2021. So the person appointed would remain in that seat until the first Monday of December of 2021, at which point whoever was successful in the 2021 November general election would take the seat. Obviously, anybody who is appointed to that seat would be eligible for and have the ability to run for a full 4-year term. I think that pretty much covers the nuts and bolts of the process. If I have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Mr. Andrews.
Any other questions on that topic or any other new business items from any director? If not, we'll move on. Open forum. Mr. Jones, is there anybody in open forum with their hand raised to ask a question?
There is no one at this time.
Okay, Dr. Kreider, do you have any last minute questions, or board, do you have any other last minute items?
No, I have nothing further, but just repeating the sentiments of everyone else in regard to Mr. Russo's. His service to the school district has certainly been outstanding. I enjoyed working with him, getting to know him, and drawing upon his vast understanding of the district and his deep knowledge and understanding of finances, I think was extremely important and very helpful to me personally. And I think very helpful for the district as well to move us forward and really to put us in line with that 5-year plan that we worked so hard on over the past few months. And I think a lot of that is contributed to him and his leadership in that regard. So a big thank you to Mr. Russos. We certainly will miss him.
I agree, John. If there's no other items, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved, I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.